Dear students, let's start a new topic on social mobility, meaning, importance and role of education in promoting social mobility. For introduction, society is a group of people who interact, reside in definable area and share a common culture. In the words of MacIver, society is a web of social relationship. A society comprises of different strata made on the basis of class, caste, creed, race, color, ethnic group, language, religion, region, gender, etc. As all these categories are not nature-made but man-made, it characterizes itself by its hierarchical nature where arrangement of people is done in terms of superiority and inferiority in status. This hierarchical arrangement in strata or layers is called as social stratification. Those on top have more privilege as compared to those people at the lower level. The fluidity or rigidity of social stratification depends upon the nature of society. An open society is having fluid system of stratification, whereas closed society like ours has rigid system of stratification. As a society keeps on moving with changing time and scenario, it tends to change its function and structure also. Undoubtedly, every society is dynamic, so are its people who aspire to move upward in their social status. The great change in condition of people can be witnessed if compared with the primitive society, its people and their lifestyles. This great change is caused by the dominant role of social mobility. Mobility is literally the ability to move. Socially, it denotes the movement of an individual or a group of individuals from one social strata, status or position to another, be it upward or downward. It is an important area of study for sociologists as well as educationists. Social mobility indicates the social change and social progress. In order to study society and its progress and development, it is mandatory to be acquainted with the concept of social mobility. Now, we need to know the conceptual background of social mobility. The ever-evolving dynamic nature of society makes its people move from one status or condition to another. This movement from one status to another, either upward or downward, is called as social mobility. The movement of people from one place to another is not mobility but migration. In the words of Doda 2005, social mobility is a type of movement, but it is not physical movement over geographical space, although social mobility could involve and be brought about by physical mobility. Social mobility is related to social status, be it closed like caste or open like class, though the speed, intensity and nature may vary significantly. It is purely situational, which depends upon the nature of society. The definition of Wallace and Wallace says that social mobility is the movement of a person or persons from one social status to another. According to Young and Mack, social mobility means movement within the social structure. In the words of Lipset and Bendix, social mobility is the process by which individuals move from one position to another in the society. Further, Sorokin stated, by social mobility is meant by any transition of an individual from one position to another in a constellation of social group and strata. In a comprehensive definition given by Havinghurst and Newgarden, it is said that the term social mobility means movement from one social position to another involving the consolidation of the various elements of the new social position, new friends and new organizational memberships. According to Bogardus, social mobility is any change in social position such as occupational changes where persons move up or down the occupational scale or relation to office whereby a follower becomes a leader, or a leap from a low economic class to high one, or vice versa. As per the definition given in Encyclopedia Britannica, social mobility is movement of individuals, families, or groups through a system of social hierarchy or stratification. With the analysis of these definitions, it can be stated that social mobility is not the movement of people from one place to another for search of better livelihood, but the movement of individuals or group of individuals from one social stratum to another within the social structure. Its nature can be explained in relation to occupation, income, organizational membership, etc. It denotes the change or transformation in social status and social position of an individual or group. For example, poor person may become rich, a teacher may become a principal, a rickshaw puller may become a businessman, and so on. On contrary to these examples, a businessman may become bankrupt, an officer may lose his or her job, etc. It is a movement which might be both upward as well as downwards depending upon its direction. This movement leads to the greater changes in society as a whole. According to Havinghurst, the nature and extent of social mobility is sometimes taken as an index of the quality of the society. Types of social mobility. Social mobility describes the movement which follows certain direction. In accordance to its direction, social mobility is of two types, which are elaborated in the following points. First is horizontal social mobility. It refers to the transition of an individual or a group of individuals from one social group to another situated at the same level within the single stratum. It happens usually without any noticeable changes. It is indicative of the change in position within the range of the same status. If a school teacher leaves his or her job and joins another school without changing income and status level, it is called as horizontal social mobility. This mobility includes occupational, interreligious, intergroup, family and territorial mobility. This mobility is also called as lateral social mobility. The second is vertical social mobility. Sorokin says, by vertical mobility I mean the relations involved in a transition of an individual or social object from one social stratum to another. In it, a change in status of the individual or group of individuals is witnessed, unlike horizontal mobility. In vertical social mobility, the individual may come up and down in the social position. It includes a radical social change in an individual's position. According to the direction of transition or movement, there are two types of vertical social mobility. First is ascending social mobility. The second is descending social mobility. Ascending social mobility. As the name suggests, it refers to the movement of an individual from lower to a higher position. For example, the promotion of an officer to a bank manager, promotion of a school teacher to principal, etc. It denotes the upward social mobility, so it is also called as social climbing. Second is descending social mobility. Contrary to ascending mobility, descending mobility denotes the downward movement of a person from higher status to the lower one. It occurs generally due to political, economic and behavioral changes. It is generally caused by inefficiency and poor performance. Importance of social mobility. Social mobility maintains the dynamic nature of society. It is considered as a pertinent feature of a society's social structure. The quality of our social life is indicative of the nature and extent of social mobility. It is important for holistic development of an individual. It helps in developing social efficiency, social progress, welfare and happiness in the life of an individual as well as society as a whole. It keeps society moving towards stability. It helps directly or indirectly in growth and prosperity of any society. It also opens the gate of various opportunities for individuals' growth and change in lifestyles, personal relationships, income, social status and class membership. According to Ebbinghurst, a society with high upward mobility is thought to be a good society because it offers a relatively high degree of opportunity for upward mobility. Now we need to know the role of education in promoting social mobility. Education as a process of overall development aims at the individual and social well-being. It plays progressive and conservative role in bringing social change and maintaining social norms respectively. Social mobility is said to be situational, which depends upon the features and nature of society. A society with educated individual is destined to move upward. Lack of education and aspiration for it leads the society to its backward position. Education promotes social mobility and functions as a promoter of upward social mobility. It encourages the growth and removes the backwardness of a society. Education develops knowledge and enhances the skills, abilities and capabilities of individuals, which as a result help in gaining higher status, position or prestige and promotes upward social mobility. Reid asserts, the functions of the educational system are to provide people with the qualifications and aspirations to meet society's occupational needs. Built into the system is that assumptions that people will or should want to be upwardly mobile. Underlying such reasoning is then the belief that social mobility is a desirable characteristic of that society and that the education system exists to promote and facilitate it. The direction of movement depends upon certain factors such as political factors, level of aspiration, intelligence, occupation and education. Among them, education's role is more prominent than others. It raises the status of individuals in the society and opens arena for better employment opportunities. In addition, it motivates people to aspire and act for higher place in social ladder. Education helps in extirpating rigidity of social structure and removes discrimination based on sex, caste or any other closed systems of society. The intensity of the fluidity of the system of social stratification depends upon the education of individuals in society. For instance, education undoubtedly is playing role of a catalyst in bringing changes in the life of women in patriarchal society like India. They move upwardly due to their education. Regarding the important place of education in upward social mobility, Doda notes the avenues of social mobility are the doors through which a person moves upward in the social hierarchy. The major avenue to social mobility in most modern societies is access to appropriate modern education. Thus, education and its important role in promotion of social mobility cannot be denied by anyone. It is among the most important agents of bringing changes in the society and its structure. Conclusion. At the end, it can be stated that the movement of people from one place to another is migration, whereas movement of people from one social status to another is called as social mobility. which may be upward or downward depending upon the factors affecting it. Among several factors, education plays an important role in promotion of social mobility, especially upward social mobility. Education has become a means to achieve higher status in society and to remove backwardness of society.